There are a number of ways that you can work this little twisted cable. You could use a cable needle, you could reorder the stitches and then work it, or you can work the stitches out of order. So in this demonstration I'm going to demonstrate how to work the stitches out of order. It is a little twisted stitch cable, so that means that I need to work through the back of the loop to twist the stitches and tighten them. So I've come up to the cable and I want to end up with this first stitch crossing in front of the second stitch. So if I'm going to work them out of order, I'm going to reach behind the first stitch and into the back of the second stitch, because I'm working a twisted stitch which is back through the back loop. Knit that stitch but leave both stitches on the left needle. This tends to pull the second stitch across, so if we want to get into the back of the loop of the first stitch, you need to make sure that you can separate out your two stitches. And now I want to go through the back loop of the first stitch and work that. So I've now worked both stitches, and if I now drop them both off the left needle, I've worked my twisted stitch cable with the first stitch crossing in front of the second stitch, but without having to use a cable needle. So I'm just going to finish the row and work the wrong side row so that I can demonstrate that little left twist stitch again. So I come across this way, and on the wrong side row in this particular pattern, the two stitches that form the little twisted stitch cable again have to be worked through the back loop. So we need to come round as we're purling and purl them through the back loop on the wrong side rows, and then knit across and work across to the end of the row. So to demonstrate that little twisted stitch again, I'm working up to the panel, so I've got purl 2, and then we've got the little twisted stitch cable panel. So in order to work it, rather than reorganising the stitches or using a cable needle, you can work the stitches out of order. So I'm going to work the second stitch, or knit the second stitch first, but I need to knit it through the back loop. So I'm going to come behind the first stitch and into the back loop of the second stitch and knit. But I'm not going to drop any stitches yet. I now need to knit into the first stitch, and because it's a twisted stitch I want to knit into the back loop again, so I have to make sure I can separate them slightly so that I can get into the back loop of the first stitch and knit it, and then drop both stitches off the needle, and as you can see the first stitch crosses in front of the second stitch, and then complete the row as normal for that pattern. I'll just work to the end of the row and then put it down so you can see. So down here I had worked these by rearranging the stitches and then working them, but these last two here I've worked them out of order. So I knitted through the back of the second stitch first and then through the back of the first stitch, and again here I knitted through the back of the second stitch and then through the back of the first stitch, so that my cable or twisty stitch twists to the left to give you a little left twisted cable.